What's up, dudes? Today we're going to be fooling around with the motor. I picked up this motor for the little blue boat. I bought it brand new. It was kind of scary. If you've ever looked for like a brand new outboard, like just did a Google search for it, it pops up like a bunch of companies that the prices are so low you just know it's fake. Like some of them are legit, but it's going to come on a slow boat from China. Like you might get the freaking outboard in 6 months. And some of them are just scams. So it's hard for me to trust any of them online companies that sell outboards. I got this one from a place called New Wave Marine, I believe, and they're out of New Jersey. Literally ordered this motor Tuesday morning, and it showed up yesterday, which was Thursday. So that's pretty freaking good. It seems to be a family-owned company. I don't know them from Adam, but they seem to be pretty legit little company. They got a bunch of boat stuff. I haven't talked to them. I ain't trying to shout them out for any kind of paid thing. It just, letting you guys know that they did me right on at least shipping this motor out very quickly. And they gave me I think, because I spent so much money on this motor, it was like $31 in store credit or something. So that's kind of cool. So I'm definitely going to go back to at least use my free money up, right? I really wanted to go with a 6 horsepower motor on this little boat. I know that's not the smartest thing to do. It's rated for a 2 horse, which we all know how that goes. But since I've added weight to this thing, I haven't had it on the water yet, which is really stupid of me to just be throwing motors on something that I haven't even water tested. But I'm worried that it's going to sit low in the water, and I've really been trying to do as well as I can about limiting the weight. Example given, the little lithium battery, I went for the trolling motor that hasn't showed up yet as I'm filming this right now. But that was my problem, was getting a motor that was lightweight and, decent horsepower, because most of your newer 4-strokes, your 4 and 6 horsepower motors, even some of the 5s, if you can find one that has a 5, is the same block. They're the same weight, but they just have more horsepower. And the horsepower isn't the main concern of a small boat. I mean, it's only going to go as fast as you twist the throttle. It's the weight part of it. So what I end up doing is doing the smart thing. Unfortunately, I know that's not very cool, is getting a 3.5 horse, a brand new Mercury 3.5 horse 4-stroke outboard. Now I know I could have gotten a 2-stroke somewhere, but I looked for used motors, and I just couldn't find any. Anything under a 9.9 is kind of like a oddball, at least around here. We don't have huge lakes that people have them small outboards to use as a tender or stuff like that, or a trolling motor. And speaking of trolling, that's kind of what I'm scared this motor is going to be, a glorified trolling motor. If you recall, I had that little 3-horse Yamaha 2-stroke. I don't even remember what the weight was on it. I put it on that Dakota, that 10-foot Dakota I built, and I want to say I got like 5 or 6 miles an hour out of it. Then I turned around and put it on that really lightweight 12-foot budget build, that little kind of crappy boat that I threw together, and I think, I could be wrong, I got something like 11, 12 miles an hour out of it, and it felt like I was flying in that thing. So with this 3.5, I don't know, 5 to 6 miles an hour is what I'm kind of expecting. It's just an 8-foot boat, but I have added a lot of weight to it. So we'll see, I don't know. I decided to do this video as a standalone because I feel like I could go in a little bit of detail about, who I got it from, breaking the motor in, and then, the actual speed I get out of it, taking it out too. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Unbox this thing first and see what we got. This thing wasn't cheap, and I'm not trying to just tear it up right off the bat. So I'm going to try to do what they call for, breaking it in, do everything right, and take this thing out and see what she does. All right, let's see what we got in the box. Alright, let me get a motor stand out so we can set it up. Should have done that first, but if you've been around a while, you know I do everything kind of backwards. There we go. It's a cute little thing, ain't it? Alright, so in the box we got, of course, the outboard. We got 15.2 fluid ounces of Mercury 4-stroke outboard oil. We got some doodads in here. Looks like we got another pin, a shear pin, and a cotter pin for the prop. I guess this is a pull rope. And we got an extra little safety kill switch deal. And I guess the manual, a little warranty registration card. And we got whatever's in here. Probably like a spark plug wrench or something. Yeah, that's what that is. We'll be able to put a few tools in this pouch, extra spark plug, you know. It's always cool to have one of these little things in your boat in case the worst happens. And if you're like me, the worst is going to happen. It did come with this card on here. It says, no oil in the engine. Replenish the engine oil before starting the engine. Doesn't say anything about the lower unit. I'll have to read up about that and see what's up. And I'll let you guys know, bring you back. Let's take a quick look at this thing. Took the cowl off. I mean, this is a onboard gas tank unit. I mean, I think all of them up to, I know 6 horsepower have the little gas tank that's on the motor. So that helps out with weight reduction too and space in your boat. By the way, this, if you're new to the channel, this is the boat that I'm putting this motor on. You think I'm really silly for trying to put a 3.5 horse outboard on something. This might help make a little more sense. This is an 8-foot, 32-inch John boat, which I have decked out, and I have added weight to it, so that's what I was talking about earlier. Anyhow, this is it. We have your choke, your gear shifter, which these models, I think the 2.5 and 3.5 only have forward and neutral. It does have the flip around reverse, like if you need to go in reverse, the whole motor will rotate and you can just do reverse that way. I thought this was kind of neat. It has a little sight glass for your oil level. This is your fuel on and off switch, so that's kind of neat. You can, on your way to the boat ramp or whatever, you can shut this off and try to run all the gas out of the carburetor if you know you're not going to be using it for a while, and keep from gumming your carburetor up, especially if you're using a bunch of crappy ethanol fuel that most everybody has nowadays. The one thing that's not that cool is the plastic prop on these, which I guess they're so small you really can't do much else about that, which they might sell aluminum props for these, I'm not sure. Have a kill switch, push button to stop. I mean, that's it, pretty basic. Not much to these little motors, not really much to any of these small outboard motors. All right, while we got the cowl off, we'll go ahead and throw some oil in it. I did read the owner's manual. I didn't see anything about having to add gear case oil to it. I might have to do a little quick Google search just to make sure, because I don't want to tear that up. We'll make sure of that. Like I said, we'll go ahead and throw some oil in it, the oil that it came with, and then we will put some gas in. I gotta go get some gas. It's a terrible day. Rainy, gloomy, just crap. Alright, so it only took about half of this bottle, just so you know. Well, I went to the gas station and got a little bit of gas. I saved you guys watching me fight that thing with one of them stupid new style gas cans. But I got some gas in there, and I put a little bit of seafoam in it because I don't have any non-ethanol gas at the place I went to. But I turned it around the motor stand and kind of got this rigmarole setup going on right now, because the angle of it, I had to, get a little creative. Okay, I'm saying I recommend doing this, but I think it's going to work because the break-in time is 2 hours. I'll go over the break-in procedure. Seems fairly straightforward and won't take that long. 2 hours. I guess I need to turn my water off too, huh? That's money going down the hill. A quick Google search shows that they do ship these motors with oil in the lower unit, but they do advise checking it to make sure that it is, the proper level. All right, for the break-in procedure, I'm just going to read you exactly what they say on there because it's really not much. Number 1, for the first hour of operation, run the engine at varied throttle settings up to 2,000 RPM or at approximately half throttle. So that's 1 hour. Number 2, For the second hour of operation, run the engine at varied throttle settings up to 3,000 RPM or at 3/4 throttle, and at full throttle for approximately 1 minute every 10 minutes. And number 3, for the next 8 hours of operation, avoid continuous operation at full throttle for more than 5 minutes at a time. So that's not too bad. So our break-in time here today is only going to be 2 hours. We got water in there, we got gas, and we're pretty much ready to rock and roll. All right, let's see if we can start this thing up. I guess I could turn the fuel on, huh? Pretty quiet. A whole lot quieter than that hand cow, but it's also 3 less horsepower. I'm assuming it's a whole lot better quality too. I mean, don't get me wrong. Mercury is a brand name versus hand cow, which it might be some 3-year-old kids building them motors. All right, peeing good. I think our water level is going to be fine. It's 9:30 and check back in on it a little bit. I'm gonna let it just idle for probably, I don't know, 20 minutes before I start putting it up to a half throttle and messing with that. All right, the 2-hour break-in window is complete. I just came out here like every 10 minutes in the first hour and just kind of gave it a little bit of gas and let off after a few minutes. And then, like it said, in the second hour, I come out here every 10 minutes and wide open. And just so you know, I mean, this sticker, you can see it on here, like it looks like you got a lot of rotation, which you do, but your throttle isn't that much. I mean, you can twist it all the way, but you're not going to get any more throttle out of it. So when the initial break-in part, that's what I was wondering, if you give it a little throttle, because it says, half throttle and then 3/4 throttle. Well, half throttle don't mean halfway twisted. You just bump it up a little bit and that's half throttle. You don't have much play for the throttle in this thing. Just so any of you guys know when you're doing the break-in thing, because if you twist it halfway, you're wide open. So just so you know. Anyhow, we got that done. We got it put on here, and all that's left to do now is take it on the water and see what she does. All right, little motor performed pretty good. A little bit faster than I was expecting. I said 5 to 6, and we got 7 and 8. 7 constant, and it hit 8 a couple times. And I'm pretty happy with that, but I feel like there's a little bit of room for improvement. The boat was not wanting to get up on plane, so I feel like if we can solve that problem, we might be able to get a mile or 2 per hour more out of it. There's a couple things that I could swap around and fool with to help get that. One thing is I need more weight up front to help me get on plane. And one way to do that is to get my weight off the back. And I went ahead and picked me up a tiller handle extension. That'll give me an extra 18 inches you know, to move forward, or I'll be more like in the center of the boat, which should help a little bit. Next time I go out, I want to get like a rotomotive cooler. So this thing doesn't have a live well, so this is what I've thought the whole time, is that I'll just throw a cooler on here, and that way when I'm going A to B, I'll just have a cooler full of ice up front, which, you know, it's not going to add a ton of weight, but you're talking about 20 pounds, 25 pounds maybe up front. That'll help a little bit. I trolled around that day that I had this boat out, and it does sit a little heavy in the front with me in it. I'll be able to put the cooler in the back when I'm in the front of the boat, and that should help a little bit. We'll have to see. I know it's not going to hurt, so we'll give that a shot too. Another thing that I did not do that day, really the main reason I didn't fool around too much, is I don't think you're supposed to have gas motors on that lake I was at. I wanted to go to a different lake that's closed seasonally. It was actually supposed to open that day, but lo and behold, when I drive by, the gate's still locked. So I went to that spot just because it was the closest little lake with a boat ramp around. Anyhow, I did not mess with the trim. This little motor has 4 positions for the trim. If you want to say that the one closest to the transom is number 1, I was running it on the very next one, which would be like the second spot. So we could run it on number 1 and see what it does, and then we could run it on number 3 and see what it does. I don't think number 4, I think that'll be like way too kicked out to do anything, but you know, if I got time, I'll mess with that too. Now, another thing that I noticed when I had it out the other day was, I mean, I was in deep water, so I know it wasn't dragging, but all of a sudden when it got the top speed, every once in a while the motor would kind of shake, and it felt like it was dragging the bottom. Now, the first time it did, actually, I thought this lake was a lot deeper than that, so I got my little anchor pole out, and yeah, I was in really deep water. What I think it was ventilation in the prop. And what I wonder that could be the cause is that plastic prop is just got too much flex to it, maybe. I don't know, I'm not sure. But I got curious, and I got on the internet and looked up Mercury 3.5 horsepower prop, and actually ran across a company that sells a 3.5 horse to 5 horse upgrade kit for this motor. You might be wondering who out there is silly enough to spend that kind of money to gain 1.5 horsepower. Well, I'm your huckleberry on that. $230 for a aluminum prop and a new carb. I did a little research after that too, and a lot of people are having problems with these little 3.5 horse Mercury carbs. I have noticed that it doesn't like to be all the way down. Like if you're idled all the way down, it'll idle for a little bit then die. And that probably just needs a little bit of adjustment by me. Just turn the idle up a little bit. I don't know what kind of problems they're having. I just ran across several people that was complaining about the carburetors on these motors, and supposedly this new carburetor fixes it. We're going to try it out and see what happens. I would like to see, you know, what we get with mile per hour. Just different, you know. I'll do it the exact same setup I had the other day with the new carb and prop and see what we get, and then I'll go to messing with, you know, the weights and the trim. Alright, now I feel like I've been too long-winded. If anybody's interested in this was Ready Set Boat sells this kit. Like I said, I think it was like $230, which is a little pricey, but I mean, I bought this motor for $1,050 and another $230, and if I get 5 horse out of this motor, I mean, I was looking at the 6 horse Suzukis and they were $1,600. So, you know, 1 less horsepower, and I'm still like coming in like 12 to 13 pounds lighter with this. I mean, that's a pretty good deal to me if it works. So let's get to working, swap this carb out, swap the prop out, and take this thing out, see what it does. All right, we're gonna start with the carburetor. It's just 2 bolts holding it on, and you have your choke, and of course your throttle linkage, and then some, you know, fuel line, and then a couple of vents to pull off. It looks pretty simple, but good rule of thumb is to always go ahead and take some pictures of stuff like this. That way, if you get to a point where you're like, how does this go? You can have a little reference to look back on. I also took the gas tank off because I think it'll make it a little bit easier to get to everything. Got it propped up on this box because it's completely full. These freaking birds are so loud today. All right, let's pop this off. Here's the new one. I will say this about this thing. I don't know if it'll show up on camera. See how chewed up that thing is? It's like that on both sides. They send me a used carburetor. How scratched up that is. That's crazy. But hopefully it works. We'll pop it in and we'll go to the prop. We got the new one bolted up. Very, very simple. Just these 2 bolts. You take off all your lines, your vents, and your overflow, and of course your throttle linkage and your choke. And just bolt right on. I went ahead and ordered 2 new gaskets when I got it. I saw some people recommend it. I probably really didn't need to since this motor is practically brand new, but better be safe than sorry. Hardest part about it was getting this little hose clamp back on. Kind of a pain in the butt. I almost gave up and put me the redneck zip tie on here, but I did it the right way just for you guys. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this gas tank back on. Oh, by the way, everything's 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter for the gas tank and 10 millimeter for the carburetor. All right, put the gas tank back on and we'll fool with the prop. Like I said, this is just a plastic prop. It's just held on by a cotter pin. We'll straighten it out, pull it out, and it has a shear pin behind it. This is the new prop. I mean, basically, looks just the same. I'm not sure if the pitch is any change or the diameter, but this one is aluminum. This one's plastic. So it should be less flex. That's what I think was causing that ventilation. Was just, I mean, this cheap plastic thing. Could be wrong, but I actually saw in the reviews of this this little kit, one dude said that he got 2 miles per hour just by changing the prop and not the carburetor. So, hey, if that's the case, we're going to be in business. All right, I'm going to pop this one out, pop this one in. It actually came with a pin, a new one. I'm gonna try to go with the old one, see if I can get it to work. All right, that was pretty easy. We got it all buttoned up and ready to go. I mean, maybe 20 minutes total, and I was messing around with the camera a little bit the whole time. So, I mean, 15 minutes, you can have it all swapped out. It'd be cool, you know, I got an extra prop on the boat, especially if you're dealing with one of these shear pin style props. You hit something and you lose your prop. It's always a good thing to have one on the boat. So even if I don't, you know, get my mind blown by this little combo, at least I got an extra prop for the boat, right? And I also put that other pin in there too. But anyhow, we are ready to go. Just waiting on less overtime at work. I'm going to work at 12 every day this week. Try to sneak a little quick trip out, but I really want to mess with the trim too. So I really would like to, you know, have a good 3 or 4 hours out on the water to really mess with this thing. But anyways, we'll see you guys then. Well, I feel like that was pretty anticlimactic. A little upgrade kit didn't really work out for me. Maybe it'll work out for you. I'm not exactly sure why that I didn't see any improvements whatsoever. It's been a couple of days since I did that. I contacted the company I got it from, Ready Set Boat, and they haven't wrote me back. So really don't have any answers on that front. It's kind of lame that they haven't wrote me back. I wasn't trying to act like I want to take it back or want a refund or this product is garbage. I was just saying, hey, have y'all had anybody else have these problems? Like, I don't know. It kind of really blows my mind that I didn't get any performance. I will say, if anything, it goes from 0 to top speed a little bit faster. You're talking about like a second or two tops. And a lot of that might be just wishful thinking on my part that I didn't blow $240. But, you know, I'm not mad at it. I've blew money on a lot worse things before in the past. Plus, I have the prop. It's always good to have a spare prop for your boat. And like I said before, a lot of people are having issues with those factory carbs, so maybe I won't have that issue now. So I will mark that up as a learning experience. And hopefully maybe I can save some of you guys some money too if you're on the fence about doing that little upgrade kit, because it might not work for you. I mean, I know 1.5 horsepower isn't a whole lot, but, and I tried everything that I could think of while I was out there. You know, I moved weight around, I messed with the tiller handle, moved my weight forward. I tried 3 different trim positions from as close to the transom, the next one, and the third one, and it slowly got worse, so I didn't even try the 4th one. So, I mean, I couldn't even touch 9. So, no mile per hour gain for me. I'm not saying that it won't work for you, but I mean, it's kind of crazy that this boat, even though I've added this stuff to it, and you know, it's very lightweight. You know, why it's not working, I'm not sure. There is one more thing I'd like to do with the motor at a later date, whenever like I get a rainy day and just want to mess with something. The cavitation plate is about 1 inch below the bottom of the boat, and I'd like to build up the back of the transom a little bit, and just to get it flat. Might help some, might gain my 1 or 2 miles per hour there, probably not 2, but you know, it'll give the outboard a better chance being, you know, flush with the bottom of the boat. Originally I said that I was hoping this thing would get 5 to 6, and it's getting 7 to 8, and that's more than I wanted. I just was looking up the prop things, and I came up with this upgrade kit, and I just like a little kid in a candy store and couldn't resist trying it. Even though it failed, the little motor does everything that I need it to. I'm never going to have this in some kind of crazy place, so 6 miles an hour is really all I really need. I actually use the cooler behind me. I actually got some straps for it, and I've strapped it down, and that's going to be my seat for driving the boat. Originally I wanted to put it up front and then move it back, but I tried it the other day. With that weight right there, I was getting a constant 6 miles per hour, and at a decent, you know, plane. It wasn't, you know, dragging in the bottom or nose diving in the front. So probably where I'm going to leave it and just be happy with 6 miles per hour. But that's going to do it for this video, and I am going to put on the wheels, the little dinghy wheels. It'll be the next video on this boat, probably the last one, and I'm very excited to do it because I want to take this thing fishing. I've already had it in the water twice and haven't caught the first fish. Haven't even really tried to fish. I just kind of cast to make sure everything was going to be stable enough to actually fish out of it, and it is. So I got a spot that is just full of bass and grinnell, and I would like to take it there, but you can't get in there with a trailer. So that's why I want to put the little dinghy wheels on there. And the way those wheels mount, I'll be able to take them off when I'm not going to use it. So you don't always have the wheels just sticking up. So more of that on the next video. I know this video probably wasn't for everybody. Maybe some people is looking at these 3.5 motors. But so far the motor's working out pretty good. I've had better, faster starting motors, I'll say that. It seems to be a little cold-natured. Maybe that'll change with some use. But, you know, as far as what I'm needing this boat to do, it's doing fine. And like I said, it's a little faster than I was originally expecting. So the motor good. The upgrade kit, not for me. I don't want to sway anybody from doing it. I just want to let you guys know how it worked out for me, which was not very good. Well, all right. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you on the next one.